Welcome to the Rangers Today Baseball Podcast. From the bus leagues to the big leagues, the Rangers Today Baseball Podcast has got you covered. Here's Jeff and John. Hey everybody, and welcome to the Rangers Today Baseball Podcast. This is episode number 109, and Jon Gray is going to be the guest today. Episode 109 is brought to you along with all other spring training episodes from Premier Properties where you can, if you're buying, selling, leasing, or investment property, Premier Properties can help you out. Go to swdallasrealty.com. That's SW, like Southwest, dallasrealty.com, or DM me on Twitter or anywhere on Facebook, and I can help you out because that's where I work and I do investment properties and all of that. You can also go to rangerstoday.com and hit the link at the top of the button, at the top of the page. A big thanks to Premier Properties for spring training. Jeff, it's Thursday. You're leaving tomorrow to go, to get out of there. And then we'll be back on the 6th. You're leaving tomorrow night?
Yeah. So first game is tomorrow. Dane Dunning's going to pitch. Sounds like Nathaniel Lowe and Marcus Semien wanted to be in the starting lineup. So they're going to play. Bruce Bochy said that Evan Carter and Wyatt Langford are going to play. Get one game in and then take it to the house. I have a contract with my wife. It's a gentleman's agreement, but I can't be gone more than 10 days. Since we've had kids, our agreement is 10 days. Tomorrow is 10 days. Molly, my daughter's been asking since day one when I'm coming back. So it's obviously love my family, love my wife. I love spring training too. I mean, I hate to leave, but we'll be back soon enough, and then I'll have another trip after our trip. So lots of spring training still ahead for Rangers today, and the coverage will continue. I've got a lot of stories, as they say, in the can to write while I'm back. We'll be following the action. Phones today notwithstanding still work. So if I need to call somebody and get some questions answered, we'll have that opportunity as well. So it's not like the old days. All the beat writers except for Kennedy. God love Kennedy. She doesn't go home. Of course, she's 24, 25, and
she's 26. She's my daughter's age.
She is she's the true Iron Man among the beat writers. Evan will be here for until the end of the month. Then he's going to go home for a little while. Sean McFarland showed up yesterday, so they'll be double teaming it over at the Dallas newspaper. Fort Worth newspaper sucks and is not sending anyone. So Rangers Today, if you're in Tarrant County and you want a Rangers source, we're the ones. If you're in Collin County or Dallas County, hey, we're still pretty good too. So anyway, go to rangerstoday.com. If you're hearing this before the end of business on the 23rd, you can get the spring training rate of $45 or $48 for an annual subscription.
That's a great deal.
If you email me, you might be able to twist my arm into talking it off the regular price after the 23rd. But we've had a pretty good response to the sale. We had a bunch of subscribers come over from Substack. We've probably added about 100 total subscribers here in the last week. So keep them coming, guys.
Great.
I mean, they're not just coming because they're mildly curious. They're coming because we've got good stuff. And
this is a World Series team, and we need day-to-day coverage.
Team, and there's only 3 of us out there covering you guys, covering this team, and we're all good in our own ways. We covered the minor leagues a lot harder than anybody else. We're in the ballpark right now. They just cranked up the air blowers, so might be a little residual noise here, but good time. It's been a good first trip.
Yep. Okay, so we got to get into the Ranger stuff. And hey, look, I can't emphasize that enough, guys. Look, when I was growing up, there were like 5 beat writers that covered the Rangers when I was growing up. There are 3. There's you, Kennedy, and Evan. That's it. Y'all are the 3 beats. Y'all have the inside track. Y'all get anybody you want to interview. I know I'm a part of Rangers Today, but I ride in on Jeff's coattails. I don't get the interviews. Jeff does. But he talks to everybody. He gets everybody for us. But we're going to get into spring training. That's why you're here, guys. That's why you want to talk about it today. First of all, first thing I want to get into, the Boris 4 This is still an issue. I think I'm resound to the fact, and I think you are too. I do not see Montgomery coming here. I just think that they're pretty content with what they're going to do. Something major would have to change, and where they are. Correct me if I'm wrong. Let's say that Jordan Montgomery said, "Okay, you know what? I'll sign a 1 year, $30 million deal with the Rangers. It's going to cost the Rangers 60, right? They got to pay the tax on top.
No, it would cost them uh, the penalty for being over the luxury tax. I think is 20 or 30% this year because they went over it last year. So it would be additional money, that they're taking on. They're already over,
Okay,
but because they went over it last year, they would be facing a pretty a steeper penalty. And
okay,
I think it's 20%. It might be 30, but either way, a 1 year $30 million deal would be not 30 million. But I just, you bring them up, and I think that the Rangers are very content moving forward without him. I mean, not content, but they don't think he's coming back. A lot of it's probably the TV. Some of it's the TV money next year. Some of it is that they're over the luxury tax. But I think that he he might be asking more than they want to pay also, and for more years than they want to give him. And I think all things aside, it may just come back to what they're comfortable with and what their philosophy is on starting pitching. And it's just kind of weird because I've talked to some former players while I've been here, guys who made plenty of money in the game, some more than others, but at this point, you got to take your best deal. Get into camp. If you take let's say a 3-year deal with an opt out after 1 year. Give let's say Jordan Montgomery, let's say 3-60. All right, 3-60. You're throwing stuff up against the wall, and an opt out after this year. If he comes out and blows the
Has a
doors off of
below
the
three
season, has a
ERA.
great
Yeah.
year, they go back to the World Series, he's a stud again. Hey, opt out. Try to capitalize now. But 3 for 60, you're talking about $60 million in the bank. $60 million in the bank. That takes care of a couple generations of Montgomerys. Okay,
Yep.
and it allows you to be a free agent again before you turn 35, and before gives you another chance at a 20 to 40 more million, let's say.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what the end game is at this point. I just don't know how it's going to turn out for these guys. And there are still teams that need starting pitching, teams that have money. You keep hearing about the
Well,
Red Sox, but
well,
my God,
Bellinger and Chapman. I mean, these are other guys. Look, a pitcher especially has to get ramped up to start the season. I mean, you've got to get those innings in, and I
yeah,
know, I know they're throwing, and they might be facing batters where they're throwing. Maybe they got some other guys not signed, and they're facing each other, but it's not the same. You've
right.
got to get in. You got to get with your catcher. You've got to get signs with your catcher. You've got to be working with your infield that you know. You've got to be working with those guys to do it. And look, the writing on the wall, it wasn't necessarily it, but when they signed Tyler Mahle, I mean, Tyler Malle's a great pitcher. I don't care what anyone says. He's a good pitcher when he's healthy. And, that could be the Jordan Montgomery hole. And, I think there would be a little more aggressive with Jordan or whoever this year if they didn't have now Mahle, but they also have DeGrom and Scherzer coming back.
Yeah, it's going to be. I don't know if it's going to be tough early or not because you know this rotation looks a lot like it did last year when they went on their nice big run. And you're gonna have Jon Gray, our guest. You're Nathan Eovaldi, Andrew Heaney, and Dane Dunning. Well, those are the guys who last year when the Rangers reached 6.5 games above 500, those 4 guys were in the rotation.
Sure.
The offense is going to score a ton of runs. If these pitchers um, can match what they did last year, even
If
if
the
they drop
bullpen,
off a little bit, they're going to be fine. The bullpen didn't really rear its ugly head until after the All-Star break, though in April it wasn't pretty. But the bullpen's going to be better, and and whether it's Cody Bradford or it's Danny Duffy or Jose Urena or I don't know Jack Leiter, they're going to be putting a capable arm into the rotation that will be good enough to give the offense a chance to beat the other team. And I just, the problem for me is that last year the rotation, Jacob DeGrom was the guy in the rotation, and he made it to 6 starts and had to have Tommy John surgery. There's not a ton of depth, so that's kind of the concern. I think a Jordan Montgomery would obviously help with that. He would kick one of those guys to the bullpen or to AAA. It would just be another arm that would be ready when something happened to a starting pitcher. And it's not an if, it's a when. Something will happen to a starting pitcher, and so you're going to be looking at Owen White, or you're going to be looking at and that's fine. It's time for
yeah,
Owen and the crew to deliver here on the promise that they have, but it's not quite the same, So anyway, we'll see what happens. I do not think that Jordan Montgomery is going to re-sign, but a creative enough deal. I know I wrote about the deferred money thing. I don't think either side would want to do that at this point. But
Morris.
I do think that there might be an opportunity for a shorter term deal, like Carlos Correa signed that shorter term deal a few years ago with the Twins and
With
opted
Twins.
out after one
Yeah.
year.
Yeah.
I can see something like that, but I wouldn't count on if it does happen with the Rangers. I would be shocked if it would be for more than 20 million a year.
Okay. No, fair enough. In doing that, I just wonder. I mean, if Boris hasn't overplayed this, look, he was going to wait. Everyone was waiting. The whole thing got delayed. First of all, because of what Yamamoto and Otani did. Everyone was going
Correct.
to wait on that. Boris likes to set the market. I think he thought Snell would get signed, which would help Montgomery's value once he got Snell signed. Well, now they're all just. I mean, you can say collusion or whatever, but I think it's more. I saw this somewhere else. I think teams are just not stupid. I think they're saying, you know what? We've got a parameter to work within, and my God, we're just not going to work too far out of our parameter. Yes, it'd be
Yeah.
great to have either of these guys, but we're not just going to go out and spend money to spend money. It's got to make sense.
Sure, and each of those four has something you could point at pretty quickly and be like, I don't know if we want to commit this much money. With Montgomery and Snell, it's their age. They're over 30.
Right.
And do you want to be paying a guy? Let's say Snell wanted that. No, what have you seen? A 9-year 270, I think is something I've seen thrown out. Well, 9 years he's going to be pushing 40.
Sure.
Do you want to be paying that kind of money to a guy pushing 40? The magic age number is like 37, 38. It's after that where things really start to go downhill. Um, you know, I don't know. And then with Bellinger and with Chapman, Bellinger was an MVP, and then he hurt his shoulder, and then he was horrible. But then he
Yep.
had a nice year last year.
He had a rebound year.
It takes time for hitters with major shoulder injuries. It takes them time to get back to what they were, and maybe that's where he is now. But don't you want to see it again? If you
Yep.
just look at the most recent track record, if you look at the last 3 or 4 years, he's not. There's been one good one. Chapman, fabulous defensive player, but you look at his offensive numbers. They've never been terrific. He's not a big
He's
average
got
guy.
power.
He strikes out a ton. He hits for power, but he didn't hit for a ton of it last year in a hitter's ballpark. So you can poke a hole in each one of them. and I'm sure teams are doing that. I know I've seen collusion out there too. I don't think teams are colluding. I think that the Rangers do have a legitimate financial consideration going forward. The fact that they don't have a TV deal for next year, the fact that they're over the luxury tax threshold. You cannot say that the Rangers haven't spent money because they've spent a ton of it. They did
Yep.
most of it the past two off seasons, not this off season. But to say that the Rangers haven't, that ownership is cheap or is given up or satisfied with one title and doesn't care what happens now, that's garbage because they're going to have the highest payroll in club history.
Yep. Okay, so then I've got one I want to end on, but I'm not doing that yet. I want to go to things you've seen. And one, now that when you were on here last week, full workouts were really starting the same day we get on and did the show last week. Now that you've been there through the weekend, through now, Wyatt Langford, how does it look? I mean, seeing him in the cage, what he's doing. Obviously this guy's going to be here at some point. He looks like the real deal. The videos all say it, but you're seeing it in person. You're not just seeing the little videos.
Yeah, and you're hearing it from his teammates and from coaches. I mean, the guy can hit. I mean, that's just the bottom line. The guy is a very, very good hitter. He's
Foscue too. I'm hearing that from Foscue.
Foscue can flat hit too. That's their calling card at this point. If you're comparing the two, Langford, they play different positions. Langford's more athletic. I think he's got a real good chance to make the team, Langford. Somebody told me it's his spot to lose, but somebody else said just send him to the minors for a month and let him learn how to track fly balls, get just a month of reps defensively under his belt. Because look, when a pitcher makes a pitch and a ball that should be caught doesn't get caught, or a ball
It can unravel on you.
A single gets turned into a double, the pitcher's not going to be happy. And
No.
those extra 90 feet, those come in big sometimes. So, can you do it? Can he get all of his at bats at DH? He can. You want to do that? No. I mean, ideally you have somebody who's you use the DH to rotate guys in for days off, like Adolis Garcia. Well, when Corey Seager comes back, is he going to be able to play shortstop, or are they going to have to DH him? That spot kind of needs to be kept open. So,
Sure.
So he's probably one of the, of the 13 position players in camp, or that you're going to take out of camp. He's probably one of the best 13 hitters. I think that's. I don't think anyone's going to argue with that.
Do you put Foscue in that group?
I'm not sure. I'd have to write him down and think about him, but yeah, probably. He's probably a better. You would get more production out of a full season of Justin Foscue than Travis Jankowski. I mean,
Absolutely.
Let's be honest.
But Jankowski's there to be on the bench and come in late. We know what he's there for.
Sure, and so it's just Langford's good. All right. I mean, I'm not a scout. I rely on other people's opinions, and the people I trust say that he's really, really good. So I'm gonna go with them on this one. But yeah, I won't be surprised if he's on the opening day roster.
I'm getting more and more confident of doing that. I was a guy that said no, he will. I was adamant, no, he will not. He needs to get more. But now, I did not realize the extra draft picks and the things like that for not, trying to play the little game of service time and all of that.
Yeah.
And this is a World Series team. They want to go back to the World Series beyond what anyone thinks. Everyone's talking about how bad this rotation is, and they don't want to win. It's nonsense. It's foolishness doing that. And by God, Bruce Bochy will put him on this roster if he is one of the best hitters that he has.
Look, I really think if Corey Seager needs 2 weeks at the start of the season, I think Wyatt Langford's on the team for sure. He has a chance to make it if Corey Seager's ready to go.
Sure.
It's just what does the pitching look like? I think it's going to look okay. You can't put it all on the offense. though the offense, scored almost 900 runs last year, and was great early last year. Can do a lot of damage and can cover up a lot of blemishes on the pitching staff. But I think a lot of it will come down to the defense, and if he's getting better, great. If but again, he's played in 0 major league parks,
Yep.
so he's got a lot of learning to do. But so did Evan Carter.
Yeah, and look, and I made a comment the other day about Evan Carter that stirred it all up, and you tell me if I'm wrong when I said, look, everybody's expecting Evan Carter to be Rookie of the Year and all of that, and I said, look, Evan Carter's got a good year. I mean, look, you guys got to remember he played 1 month in the big leagues. He had a great run going through 3 teams as he got, in the playoff run. It was fantastic. But this is a guy, you're about to go a full season now. They're going to have a book on him, go there. I mean, if this guy hits 15 to 20 home runs, gets above 750, 800 OPS for his second year. Now, that's not nothing you want long term. Let him get really acclimated to a full season, and only, if he hits 260, 250, 260, 270, I still think this guy's not losing his job. That's a healthy season that young with a full season. We all expect him to do better than that. We think he's a better hitter than that. But good Lord, this is a first real full season in the big leagues, and these aren't minor league pitchers he's going to be facing.
Right.
So, am I wrong? That's a good season. What do you think of Evan Carter if he hits 258, he has 17 home runs, and his OPS is 789? I think that's a good season.
What's he hitting? 258?
258. But his OPS is around 800. He gets on base.
Yeah, an 800 OPS season would be good.
Right.
I don't know. He's never hit 20 home runs in the minors. I don't
Never.
think that
He's hit 13 is the most.
He's not going to be a 20, 25 homer guy in the majors, I don't think.
He will when he bulks up, but he's so skinny.
He can grow a little bit. He's got a long way to go, but he has such a good foundation of hitting that he's not going to be in prolonged slumps.
Agreed.
He's got such a good understanding of the strike zone and such good plate discipline that he's going to get on base even if he's not getting hits.
Exactly.
And I think right now, we asked Bruce Bochy about where he's going to hit Carter in the lineup. He's not going to hit first. He's probably not going to hit second. Although second's conceivable. You'd have to move Corey Seager out of there. You want your best hitter getting as many at bats as possible, and Corey Seager's the team's best hitter. But I don't know that I like. I know it worked in the middle of in the playoffs, but is Evan Carter
the number 3 hole hitter,
a number 5 hitter, or a number 3 hitter? I don't know. If
it's not going to hit ninth.
But I mean, if his strong suit is getting on base ahead of bigger bats, then batting him third makes some sense. He still has to prove a lot against left-handed pitching. So,
sure.
Do you not want to put him back to back? Do you not want to have him and Seager back to back because of the left-handed hitter, left-handed pitcher matchup thing? So I mean, there's some stuff that needs to be sorted out. He's and there are areas where he has to be better. I think that you saw the Diamondbacks. I think as each round of the playoffs went along, you saw adjustments being made to Evan and to his weaknesses. He can get better. Obviously, you are allowed to get better, and he's going to get better, and he needs to get better. And he realizes that. I mean, he's not sitting here, just eating donuts,
resting on his laurels.
I mean, he's out there working hard. He wants to prove that he's a good hitter against left-handers. He only had 10 at bats in the regular season, and he went 0 for 10. Too small of a sample size. I just think that he's gonna be a good, solid player. All right. I mean, that's a top 10 prospect, a top 5 prospect is a solid major league player, potential all-star. I don't know. if with his combination of defense and base running, he ought to be able to light up the WAR statistic and maybe become an MVP candidate. But I mean, just right now, his first full season, you know, don't think it's going to be like a 900 OPS season. He's going to 300, 450 on base percentage, a bunch of home runs. Just let him play. Be happy with a 270, 380, 420 type of slash line.
Yeah,
Those things are attainable. And if he does that, it's more production than the Rangers got last year out of left field.
sure.
So he's going to make the team better.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. And I think that's not where I'm saying this could be the one-off. This is that second-year slump, not slump. It's getting acclimated and getting your feet wet and being up there. He's too good. He's got too much plate discipline, and he is too well. He is just too good at seeing pitches to not turn into the player we think he can. I think overall, Wyatt Langford is probably someone that offensively that projects higher. I think
Sure.
with more power, all of that. He kind of projects perennial all-star, all of that. Not saying Evan Carter could certainly be a guy that makes 3 or 4 all-star teams. I mean, he's really got the capability to do that. But if he doesn't come out and have a 900 OPS and he doesn't hit 305 and all of that, it doesn't mean he's a bust, and it doesn't mean that's the way he's going to play the rest of his career. This is a guy who's 21 years old, 22. He is young, and he was so good in the playoffs with the doubles he kept hitting and how he performed. I kept trying to tap the brakes. Just let the guy come play. He's going to be great. He's going to help this team a lot. But also, don't just expect him to run out and win Rookie of the Year. There are some good players that are like Wyatt Langford in other organizations that are going to be in the big leagues.
Yeah. Well, and okay, I think I saw this in one of the top tens. Maybe it was Keith Law with the Athletic. What if Evan Carter is Brandon Nimmo? That's a pretty good player. What if he's what if he's healthy Jacoby Ellsbury? That's a really good player.
That's a really good player. Yeah.
He's not going to be Barry Bonds. He's just not that player.
What if he's David Murphy?
Sure. I mean, David Murphy did some good things. He's.
I think we project him better than David Murphy.
Evan will have the advantage because of defense and speed. Not that David was slow or a bad defender, but Carter has the tools, just better tools, or than that.
Carter's a potential 5-tool player. He could develop power.
He could, yeah.
When he gets bigger.
But anyway, he's gonna play. He's gonna play a lot, and but yeah, you to your point, understand that he's still a rookie. He has 75 career plate appearances in the regular season. All right, he's green. Hasn't seen, there are pitches he's seen that he saw in the postseason that he hadn't seen before. He mentioned Justin Verlander's fastball and the carry it has. He talks about how all the best left-handed pitchers are in the major leagues. That's why I didn't see a lot of them in the minors, because they're all in the majors. He knows he's got to improve.
And one thing about Evan Carter, he adjusts. He tries to find a flaw and he tries to adjust to it. This year he came in 20 pounds heavier coming in, but he was kind of heavier last year. He lost some weight during the season, but that's part of the season. It's hot out there. Not every team has indoor 71-degree facilities, and you've got to go play on the road in 100-degree weather, and you've got to eat a lot of calories. We already talked about these guys and the calories they eat, and he is just a skinnier guy. He's just thinner. I mean, look at what's his name, Tucker. He's a skinny guy too. That's just developed more going into it. Okay, last thing I want to get into on this. Okay, Travis Jankowski was the non-roster invitee last year that turned into something. Turned into a contract this year. I kind of have a feeling, I know who this would be, and it's probably going to be more on the pitching side, but who are the non-roster guys, maybe even throwing a bat if you think there is one, What
Yeah,
non-roster guys really have a chance to be like a Jankowski and make this team and contribute?
yeah, I think you're right on the non-roster pitchers, just with the uncertainty on the pitching staff. Danny Duffy
Duffy.
is a non-roster guy. Diego Castillo, the reliever, who's has a when you look at his numbers and like, man, this guy's good. Except for last year, he was terrible with the Mariners. So I would start with those three. There are some internal non-roster invitees. Among them is Jack Leiter, Mark Church. No, Mark Church is on the 40 man. I take that back. But there are guys who are of that ilk. We can talk about this later, but I don't think Emiliano Teodo has a good a chance to open the season. He
No.
eventually could be an option later in the season, but as
Well, he
far as
hadn't played
making
about A
as
ball,
far as
although
making
he.
the opening day roster, I just I think Duffy, Jose Urena, another starting pitcher, veteran guy, Diego Castillo, are three guys who they've got a shot. They've got a real good shot, and it wouldn't
I
be a
feel the same way.
disaster if they all make it.
Duffy's got a chance. He could he could be a fifth starter.
Yeah, yeah, he could be. He needs his velocity to tick up a little bit. It's early in spring. If he can get to 91, 92, 93, that those might be the magic numbers as far as the Rangers are concerned. Um, he and Cody Bradford, both left-handers, opposite ends of the experience spectrum, but roughly the same velocity, same kind of pitcher. Because Duffy's not going to overpower guys anymore like he did earlier in his career. But
Right.
I think he's got a shot. Again, even if he doesn't make the team as a starter, he could be that long relief guy or the guy that piggybacks off of I don't know,
Yeah.
somebody, and gives the Rangers, let's say, 6 good innings a week, five innings a week of kind of being the bridge to the back end of the bullpen. Definite possibility, but I would, if I were in Las Vegas, or if I were Las Vegas, I would probably give him the best odds of making the team.
Anything else?
No, not really.
Hit the subscribe button. We've already talked about
Yeah,
that. It's
let's do
40.
that. Sign up at rangerstoday.com. Keep keep a good thing going. Um, it's games start. I'll say this: don't worry about wins and losses.
Yeah.
Don't worry if a regular is 1 for 32. Don't
Yep.
worry if a hot shot prospect, or don't get too excited if a hot shot prospect is 15 for 17. Just keep in mind the pitchers they're facing probably aren't very good
Right.
early on. They're working on their craft. The hitters are working on stuff too. Some of it's going to be bad luck if they're in a slump. Some of the hitters, if they're sizzling at the plate, keep in mind the infields here are as hard as a rock. All right, if a ball hits in front of the plate and it's hit hard, it's going to go over the third baseman's head for a hit. The ball carries like crazy here. All right, the home run numbers are a little bit inflated. The sun is brutal here for outfielders. There are going to be
Yeah.
balls that get lost in the sun that can both affect a pitcher's ERA and a hitter's
And
batting average.
a hitter's average.
So this
Those.
is a tough place to evaluate hitters, but start paying attention basically probably about spring break on. That's when you need to start paying attention. That's when you can start worrying. That's when you can start saying, hey, this guy's been real crappy, or is there something wrong with this guy? But and also keep in mind, a lot of the time they do their work on the backfields, and they pitch really well there, and then they come into a Cactus League game and they might give up a run or two, but makes
Sure.
their ERA look terrible because they have a smaller sample size in official games. While they might be kicking ass on the backfield, so
Sure.
don't worry yet about spring results.
Exactly.
Just enjoy the fact that baseball's being played. Watch, pay attention, get to know these guys, because whether they make the team or not, they're probably going to be seen at some point this season, and guys you want to be familiar with.
Yep. We need the pitchers the young pitchers is who you want to see do something in spring training. Hopefully, it's not an overreaction either, but you want to see Leiter win and them do decent. Do decent. Do something here, but they're looking at other things just besides what the ERA is here. Like you said, if little flares are falling in and the exit velocity is horrible, then that defense, a major league defense behind those pitchers, can really drive down an ERA when you got that good defense. But I think that's it. Let's get Jon in here.
Yeah. Jon loves coming on the show, so we love having him.
I got a squirrel question for him that I got from Hannah, so I'm going to ask him a question. Jon Gray, guys, coming up right after this. All right, guys, and joining us right now from spring training in Surprise, Arizona. I will never get tired of saying this. It's the first time he's come on since the World Series. It is World Series champion right-hand pitcher Jon Gray is joining us. Jon, what's going on, bud?
Oh, not much, man. Thanks for having me.
What does it feel like when you're called world champion Jon Gray?
It's a really good feeling, but it's something that I haven't really fully digested yet. I mean, it still kind of surprises me when I remember that, hey, we won it all not a couple months ago. So it still hits you. Yeah.
So what did you do? Okay, so World Series, you win it. You come home, parade the next day, and then what?
After that, about a week of celebration. I mean, I went off the grid a little bit, did a lot of traveled for about a month, it seemed. And and then took it really easy for the next couple of weeks.
But like there was a week there where you were still cloud nine.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And every time you wake up, you're like, that wasn't a dream. You start to remember it all again, and it's crazy. It's a really crazy thing to go through.
Okay, so where were you? Were you were in the bullpen for the last out, or were you? Okay,
I was in the bullpen. Mm-hmm.
The last out happens. Is that as fast as you've run in a long time to get to the party?
It might have been. I felt just really weightless, I felt like a feather just flying out there. But yeah, there were so many of us trying to get through this little door in the bullpen that I don't know. We looked like race dogs coming out of a chute, but it was fun. It was really cool.
You weren't the first one out?
No, I wasn't the first one. I think I was closer to the last, but still plenty of excitement back there. Plenty of it.
They weren't gonna party for just 2 minutes. He could get there. They were gonna enjoy it a while.
So I mean, what did you make of your posting experience? Because you were hurt, and then you fought your way back to overcome the little forearm strain. But you were a reliever. But you pitched some big innings. So how do you digest all of that now?
I mean, that's definitely not how I would have ever guessed it to be, that situation. But no, I mean, I'm really just happy that the coaches and the team management were able to count on me and go to me in the bullpen and really trusted me. So that felt great getting an opportunity, because I missed the last couple of weeks with the wrist and everything. So just getting that opportunity was huge, but being able to do well, that meant the world.
So you come in Game 3 of the World Series. Max has his back stiffen up on him.
Mm-hmm.
Had you known ahead, you didn't know he was going to get hurt, but did you have an idea you were going to at least pitch that day?
Yeah, I knew that there was a good chance I would go in. I just didn't really know the situation, and being that early, I think it kind of helped out. Honestly, I think it helped myself out at least, because I don't like to think a whole lot before I go in, and I didn't really have a chance to think about things. It was just kind of get up and go and do your thing, and Yeah, it was much less stressful than I would have guessed. Yeah.
And then you come in and you're blowing guys away. As a reliever, I mean, I guess you just let it eat, right?
Right. Yeah. There's a lot less thinking as a reliever, a lot less game planning. You're not trying to get a guy out in three different ways. You just stick to how you can get him out and really go with that. You're not trying to trick anyone. It's really just stick to your bread and butter, and it was much easier that way.
So you're back to starting. You're part of a rotation that looks a lot like it did last year. I think people are kind of losing track of that. That last year at this time, 4 of the 5 members, or 3 of the 5 to open the season are the same, and then well, shoot, I think 4 of the 5. But whatever.
4 out of 5.
There wasn't
It's
a lot
4.
of turnover. How do you guys feel about things as a group? I know Jordan's not back, but he wasn't here last year when you guys were doing most of your work.
Right. I think for the most part, everything feels. Yeah, I mean, it feels better. I think. Obviously, it'd be great if we got Jordan back, but still, I mean, even with the guys on the shelf right now, we still feel like we're a really good ball club, and we know that that's coming. They're going to be a big impact on us halfway there. So, I mean, just coming out of the gates is going to be really important. Coming out of the gates hot and staying healthy. That's key. But just having so many guys returning, it feels a lot like the same team, and it's a good feeling.
Yeah, I guess the 5th starter spot's kind of up for grabs. Though Cody might be the front runner. What did you think of the way he pitched last year? I know his numbers probably don't belie how well he pitched. He gave you some big outs in the postseason too.
He really did, man, and that's something I kind of really didn't. I couldn't really figure out what made him so good until I kind of was around him more and played catch with him. Because I mean, if you just look at it on paper, like a lefty, 92, 93. Yeah. I mean, you're like, yeah, he's got to have something in there because that just doesn't play. But no, I mean, his fastball is really deceptive. I mean, if you didn't have a clock on it and you tried to hit it, you would think it was 98. I mean, it gets on you. He has a special fastball, and I know he's been tinkering with some stuff too, some secondaries that are looking really sharp. I mean, he's the deceptive guy.
I think today's his birthday.
Oh, is it?
I think so.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Jeff, talk louder.
Happy late birthday tomorrow.
So you talked about the guys who aren't going to be here, Scherzer, Malley, DeGrom, but they're here now. What is their day-to-day interaction with you guys like?
In good spirits. Good spirits. I know Jacob's been waiting a long time to get back out there. It seems like him just playing catch the other day. He seemed like a kid that was going to the carnival or something. I mean, it was a happy day for him and happy for all of us. So it was really cool. Max is a little bit different, a little more intense right now. He's still in the weight room crushing some workouts and doing some different drills. But yeah, you can't get that guy to rest. But no, everything's looking really good. They're optimistic.
I mean, he came here with that reputation of being intense. Like like on game days. I remember he was walking in as we were walking out of the clubhouse, and somebody made eye contact with him and said, "Hey," and then was scared the rest of the day. She had just jinxed Max's start. He went out and pitched fine, but it seems like he's that kind of guy. Super on start day, don't mess with him.
Right, don't mess with him on start day. I mean, he's like a robot out there going about his business. It's really cool. It's really cool to see that because I mean, it's not something that he's making up. It really is how he is, and I get nervous when he's when he's starting that day. I mean, I try to stay completely out of his way, let him focus, keep his head down, and that's what he likes.
What were you like?
Weren't you kind of near him in the clubhouse, John? You were kind of over there by him, weren't you?
Yeah, I wasn't too far away. So I get to see a lot of crazy stuff.
So
when you're closer, you got to tiptoe more.
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty good at being quiet, but keeping eyes open. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So on a start day, you guys all you can come in late, or come in later than normal. But how are you? I mean, I'm sure you're intense, but you're not Max intense.
Right. Yeah. No, not at all. I mean. I guess I take it pretty easy on start days. I do get in later. The only thing I can really eat on a start day is a banana. So I'll have a banana and it'll be you're not playing till 7 o'clock. So, you're trying to make that last. But I take it really easy. I don't go through 100 different drills or anything like that. I just like to rest, read something, take my mind off of it, get back to the game, read something, take my mind off of it, and then get back and focus again. I feel like that helps a lot. So just not completely locking in and just waiting and look at the clock. I think that kind of drives people crazy. It drives me crazy, but just finding ways to keep myself busy. Um, I don't really do a whole lot. I stretch probably 20 minutes before I go out, and it's like Little League almost.
So
Well,
you only eat a banana?
That's it.
One thing?
Yeah.
The whole day before you start?
The whole day, yeah. Yeah, I can't really get food down. I've struggled with it before. There's days I can, but not a whole lot. But yeah, usually it'll just be a banana or like a bag of goldfish or something.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
All right.
But we see you guys when you're starting. We kind of try to avoid you guys when it's your start day. But I've never felt like I couldn't if we locked eyes, I couldn't at least go, "Hey, what's up?" And you just said, "Hey, what's up?" I'm not going to go talk to you because it's your start day. But you've done that, John. You've given me, "Hey, what's up?" and just said hi. But you're right. Sure.
I like it to feel like another day, just another regular day.
Yeah.
I feel like sometimes if you make it feel like it's not a regular day, then you can kind of worry yourself a little bit or get a little antsy.
Yeah.
So I kind of like things to be. I don't know. It's just the way. That's the way I kind of do my stuff. I guess I don't like to get too much into a routine because whenever something goes wrong with that, you feel completely lost. So I feel like I should be able to play baseball and pitch at any time, no matter what happens, whatever the schedule is, whatever adversity there is. You should be able to go out and still do it. So I try to really do that.
That was like the first rule of beat writing, or one of the first rules when I got the job was you don't talk to the starters the day they start.
Yeah.
It's a little different in spring training because spring training is kind of laid back.
Mm-hmm.
But that and you don't sit down on the furniture unless you're invited to sit down. Those were like the main two that I had to learn. But hey,
you don't join in the ping pong game.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
it's not our clubhouse. Not our clubhouse. All right. So what are you working on this spring? I know it looks like you settled on a slider last year that you like.
Mm-hmm.
What are you trying to fine tune?
I really want to fine tune a changeup and curveball. I feel like those two pitches I don't really use too much, and then, if I want to be a starter, I gotta use those more. So I can't just be so slider and fastball heavy. I need something that's a little bit slower to mix in, and it's going pretty well right now. I can't wait to use it.
Your first start is the fourth game.
Mm-hmm.
At this point in spring, I know they take it very gradual to build up. You're down for one inning, 25 pitches. Do you feel like you could do more, or do you not even want to worry about it?
I really believe I could, but I'm not. Yeah, it's not a race right now, so I'm completely content with two. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, back in the old days, guys go 7. I mean.
Yeah, you better be ready to go 7.
I mean, you talk about all the pitches that Nolan Ryan threw. Crap, he was throwing complete games in spring training. That's wild. It's crazy how times have changed.
Yeah.
But I would, and I think the commissioner wants to see more emphasis put on starting pitching, where guys aren't just going twice through the lineup.
Yeah.
Going 7, 8 innings. I know you had a complete game last year. Is that something you'd like to see? I mean, is that still your mindset? I'm going to go 7 or 8.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's there's the way the teams utilize bullpens now is a little different. It's a little, I don't know, sprinty, but that's what distinguishes a starter from relievers, being able to get their lineup 3 times, being able to get guys out different ways. So I think that's definitely something that needs to be a focus of each starter. But yeah, I mean, if we can find a way to recognize that, I mean, that'd be really cool.
So you guys met with the union guys yesterday.
Yes.
It's been a weird off season for baseball free agents, including Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
Was there any discussion about that? About, because I know the commissioner said he wants to shorten the window like the NBA does.
Mm-hmm.
How was that in general terms talked about? I mean, if it was talked about.
We didn't really get into a whole lot of it. It was mentioned, but yeah, I'm not really sure what direction that's going. But I'm all for changes, and if they're good changes, so I wouldn't be opposed if something was a little different coming up soon. But but yeah, I mean, it's kind of been a mess ever since. I mean, ever since the last 3 years, it's kind of been a mess. So,
Yeah.
hopefully we figure something out that works.
Well, okay. So your free agency you signed right before the lockout.
Hmm.
Was that your goal to sign before the lockout? You didn't want to wait till afterwards. Did you feel like you got the crack you thought you would get at free agency?
Yeah, well, kind of, yeah. Like I definitely wanted to get it done before, um, but I don't know. I feel super lucky that Texas wanted me because I mean there was literally only 3 teams that I would want to play for, and if those 3 teams didn't want me, then I was probably gonna call it for a little while, just
Yeah.
hang it up for a little bit. So that was like a sign that Texas wanted me. I mean, I was definitely on board with that, and it's been a dream come true. It's been awesome.
You've won a World Series.
Yeah, even when baseball is weird, it's weird, but it's been great.
All right, John, take over.
All right. So, okay, I got to ask this first because Hannah, one of our little friends, Hannah, that's a big fan of the show, she came out to the thing. I kind of just said you were coming on, and she made mention about squirrels. Said she talked to you at the Jared Sandler thing. Do you remember the story about that? What's the story about the squirrel family in Colorado? And then what she said, she wanted to ask you if you remembered her story about Rocky the squirrel, I guess her aunt or something like that. But what's the story about the squirrel family in Colorado?
Oh yeah, well we lived in a little tight knit neighborhood, a little townhome, a little backyard, but there were some really mature trees in the neighborhood that were just huge. I mean, they'd probably been there for 100 years, but there was one tree that kind of went kind of over our house a little bit into our backyard, but that's where I call him Mr. and Mrs. Squirrel because it was either a boy or a girl, so I just knew it was Mr. Squirrel or Mrs. Squirrel. But they would come and sit along our fence, eat the bird seed out of the bird feeders, but yeah, we just started, putting out special snacks for them. Sure enough, like they realized when we were coming out to do that, they would show up and get really close to us. And after a while, I mean, they would run along the fence as I would go out to my garage to leave for the day. They would follow me the whole way down and just make chatter at me and beg me for whatever I had. So when I left the house, had to have like a treats for the squirrels, and when I came back, I'd make sure I had some too because they were always there. They were always there.
That's pretty cool. We got squirrels too. I know what you mean. You feed them. Now, my father-in-law, now he's up in Illinois. He tries to pop them. They get in his bird feeders. He doesn't like them, but I think they're fun. My dogs chase them up to the top of the tree. So you're a big dog guy too.
They play. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they are. They are a lot of fun. Okay. Hey, you grew up, you're from Oklahoma. What was your favorite MLB team when you were growing up?
It's tough to really say. I didn't really have a favorite team. I guess. I mean, I love Nolan Ryan, and there was a lot of Texas fans in Oklahoma. There were a lot of Cardinals fans. I really didn't like the Cardinals too much, though. But I would say I was torn between Kansas City and Texas.
Okay, this is one I've started a new little line of questioning. Yeah, go ahead, Jeff.
I saw you yesterday on the backfields. You were talking to a man who said, "You may not remember me, but you told me the first game you went to was Kansas City." You said that was the only game you had been to before you were in the major leagues?
Yep, the only game I went to as a kid was the Kansas City game. I think they were playing the Twins, but yeah, I just remember I was probably like 11 years old, but that was the one I went to. It was the closest stadium. It was 5 hours away from where I live, so I mean it was doable.
Yeah. My first major league game was Jack Murphy Stadium, which no longer exists, San Diego. But then in '85, my dad was a Cardinals fan. He was from Kansas, and so KMOX, right? I think that's the big radio station in Kansas and in St. Louis where the games just can go across the country. And so we were in Colorado, and he said the series was headed back to Kansas City. He's like, all right, the Cardinals were up 3-2. He's like, all right, who wants to go to Kansas City and try to get some tickets? So we drove overnight from Colorado, and we each scalped tickets. I was almost 11, but we all sat, my sister, my dad, and we all sat at different seats at that ballpark. And it was back when it was turf, and it was game 6, and that was the game when Don Denkinger missed the call at first base. The Cardinals were going to win it.
Yeah.
He missed the call at first, and then they end up winning the game, walking it off.
That's
and then
crazy.
The next day they just knocked the crap out of the Cardinals. But a lot of Kansas City here. I like it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, but we got to remember when Jeff grew up in Colorado, because John, you were up there in Colorado for a while. There wasn't an MLB team until after he got out and he left and went to college. Okay. When you got to the big leagues, this is an interesting one. When you got to the big leagues, what current or former player were you the most excited to play against or meet? I mean, kind of like wow, this is a trip. I cannot believe that I'm on the field with this guy, or throwing against this guy, or I'm getting to meet this guy. Because sometimes you guys will fraternize before the game or say hello. Was there anybody that was like a guy, he was kind of my hero, and here he is?
There was two guys I was really excited to play against, and I got to play against both of them. One of them went really well, one of them didn't go so well. But I got a strikeout with Alex Rodriguez back in 2015. Cool. Thought that was really cool. Just grow up in the '90s, watching him play, that was really cool. And David Ortiz, I get to pitch against him. Yeah, gave a homer to him, but I'll never forget it. I mean, that's on one home run I'm not mad about. So yeah, but those two I'll remember for sure.
Where did you give it up? Was it at home?
It was in Boston.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. So
did he do one as? Go ahead.
How much further, honestly, does the ball travel in Colorado?
It travels. It's significant. You can tell. When you're just shagging BP out there. I mean, you'll be backing up and you won't stop backing up. I mean, it just goes. But yeah, you still got to hit it too. It's a big park. You still got to hammer it.
Yeah, I mean, Coors Field's huge,
mm-hmm.
and the foul territories are huge, and also the outfielders play so deep that a lot of balls fall for singles. I wouldn't know.
A lot. Yeah.
So I mean, it's like a double whammy. You don't want to give up the home run, but you're going to give up singles and face more hitters. So I mean,
for sure.
I know the ball travels here, but not like that.
Right. No, it's a little different. Yeah, it's a little different story. Yeah.
All right, John. Two more. We're going to get you out of here because you're taking time to go. Hey, what's your favorite baseball movie?
The Scout with Brendan Fraser. I love that movie.
That's a good one.
It is.
That is hilarious.
Steve Nebraska, he's a man.
That was great. That was great. I love that movie. And what's his name who played the Scout? It's one of the funniest actors anyway that played it.
Albert Brooks.
Yeah.
Albert Brooks, yeah. He was hysterical. That was really good. Okay. If you got to host a dinner party, you're cooking on the grill, and you got to have 3 former or current players invited because you want to hang out and have a beer and cook for them, who are those 3 players that you're inviting?
Number one's going to go to Fergie Jenkins. That guy's awesome. I've got to know him over the last couple of months now, and pretty well. And he's a great guy to be around. A lot of cool stories too. He can tell you.
I can imagine.
Yeah, for sure. I get to bring in some heat throwers. I'm going to bring in Nolan Ryan and Randy Johnson. Yeah.
Hey, as a starting pitcher, that would be Fergie. Now, I'm old enough. I saw Fergie play when he played for the Rangers. I was 7 or 8 years old when he pitched for the Rangers, and I remember. Oh, dude, he was that rotation back then. If you go back and look in Rangers history, that was an amazing rotation. Even though they only took 2 teams to the playoffs in those days. So the Rangers would always come up short against Kansas City with George Brett and all of them. That's usually who beat them out of it. So Jeff, that's it for me.
Fergie Jenkins, the Rangers have never had a pitcher win the Cy Young Award. Fergie Jenkins finished second in '74. I think the Catfish Hunter, is that right, John?
Catfish Hunter was he was a closer when he.
I think Fergie had 29 complete games that season.
Yeah,
what the heck, man.
Gaylord Perry, you had Fergie Jenkins, Gaylord Perry. I think Jim Kern. You had don't get me trying to bring that up.
All right, we won't.
All right, but listen, John. Thanks to you got anything else, Jeff?
No, I don't, and hopefully my audio has come over pretty good.
It's good enough, guys. It's easier when Jeff and I are both in studio and doing that, but we're trying to. When we both get there, we're going to have mics and everything. We'll get them on there. But it was good enough. John came in good and clear. John, thanks for coming in, man. It's great spring training's here. He's a world champion. I'm glad to come do that. We appreciate it. I know it's a busy schedule, but we really appreciate you stopping down.
No problem. It was a pleasure. I appreciate that.
All right, guys, that's Jon Gray. He is a world champion Texas Ranger right-hand pitcher. Jon, thanks so much. When we come back, guys, after this, we're going to go down in the bus leagues. All right, guys, a big thanks to Jon Gray for taking his time to come over here with us. Guys, it is now time to go down in the bus leagues. All right, man. So before I got a question I wanted to ask and some stuff we could bring up. This isn't going to be real long, but you've been around. Tell me what all's happened this week, who you've seen, who's looked good. A lot of great videos coming out. By the way, we've already mentioned that once, but go to the YouTube channel. See those. A lot of minor league pitchers, a lot of people that you're doing. Tell me some things you've seen while you've been around the backfields.
They aren't the minor leaguers who are here aren't really working out at the same time as the major leaguers. I know that it was kind of the case last year, and some guys would come over from minor league camp to help with the base running, this stuff, but that really hasn't been the case this year. You've seen the rehab group. Kamar Rocker is here. He's just going through his stuff, but he is throwing. But all the young guys who you want to see here are here. Sebastian Walcott's here, Anthony Gutierrez is here, Cam Cauley is here. I could keep going. Brock Porter's here, but they all have a chance to be in games early on. The major league guys are going to play an inning maybe 2 or 3 innings, a couple at bats here early on, and they'll give way to guys who are in big league camp trying to earn bench jobs, and then once they're done, that's when you're going to see some minor leaguers. So, but the group is building. It's gotten bigger and bigger and bigger, and so when camp opens in March, they'll be ready to go full bore. But also with games starting tomorrow, Cactus League games. A lot of them are going to be coming over for minor league camp to fill in.
Yeah. So what about Polino? Is he there?
Not that I've seen.
Okay. He's just gotten signed though. That's probably some getting his documentation.
Walcott got over early last year, but he had been shuttling between the Bahamas and Florida. So
he had a passport. He had everything.
He had a little bit different of a situation, whereas Polino will be coming from the Dominican Republic, and the year before that, Anthony Gutierrez, he came late into camp. So I would expect that he'd be here. I hadn't asked Ross. We should ask him when we had him on the show a couple weeks ago. But I would anticipate that he does show up.
Let me ask this. This is such a dumb question. I should probably know, but I've never thought of it before. Are there a group of the Latin kids that don't come over and they have like their own spring training in the Dominican?
They do have a winter program in the Dominican at the academy. Things are different now because they have the dead period. So it's all kind of condensed and everything. But there are kids who, because of the political unrest in Venezuela, were unable to go home. This was a couple years ago. I don't know if that still is a thing, but I think there was a small group of Venezuelans who were here in the off season, if not for one off season, then for a couple, and potentially they still are here. I mean, I don't know that it's easy to get in and out of Venezuela, but it just seems like there are guys who are here throughout the winter doing stuff, whether they're American or international. Okay.
All right. So here's what I wanted to get into. So this is a year that I think you and I have both discussed it. I think Ross Finstermaker's discussed it. I think with the way the offseason went, we kind of felt that this is it. There are going to be some guys that they are counting on to probably make their major league debuts this year. and to help out at the
Sure.
big league level. So let's look at guys, and you know my standard. You cannot have already played in the big leagues. So there's some guys that are not.
Well, yeah,
I'm
that
getting
counts. Yeah, no. I mean, Owen
that
White's already
counts,
played in the majors. Yeah,
right? So
he's
we
made his
would
debut.
assume,
Yeah.
right? So we would assume that White will probably at some point come back up and help out, maybe make the team in the bullpen coming out of spring training. Let's talk about names most likely to get a chance this year at some point and probably make a major league debut. And let's by step Wyatt Langford, who I think we both agree will be in the big leagues at some point.
Yeah. We talked about that earlier, so we don't need to go back over it. But all right, we'll start with Jack Leiter. I think Jack Leiter will make his major league debut.
It's a good one.
Yeah, he's looked really good in the times I've seen him throw this spring. It's only been a couple times, but it just looks different, more in control. And I think he's got a chance. I honestly think that Cole Winn will get a shot if he's throwing strikes like he was the other day in live batting practice and like he has been this spring
in Puerto Rico.
And coming off what he did in Puerto Rico, he's going to have a chance. He's on the 40 man. They gotta make a he's got
they got to make
this year. And I wrote about him last Friday and Friday at the Farm. Then I wrote a little more about him and Leiter and Zach Kent and Owen White and the Sunday read. And basically, and this is how I phrased it with Cole, and he agreed. I said it's time to shit or get off the pot. And
Exactly.
And he agreed. And Zach Kent, who's been really good at AAA when he's been healthy. If he can stay healthy, he's been looking good. So that's kind of the starting group. Those are the four guys you probably White's made his major league debut. So those other three are probably the three you think of having a chance to make their debut. And then you kind of look at the relief side. I think Mark Church and Antoine Kelly have excellent chances of making their debuts. They have to be able to pitch multiple innings. That's just kind of what the Rangers need from relievers who aren't Kirby Yates,
Sure.
Jose Leclerc, David Robertson, and Josh Sborz, so they can all get more than 3 outs. But you just think that those two kind of fit the mold. I mean, Kelly throws super hard, harder than Church, who throws hard. Church has a terrific slider, and when Kelly is throwing a lot of strikes, which he did a lot more of last year at Frisco, he's really, really tough from the left side.
It's got a weird arm angle, right? Then he
it looks good, but he cleaned it all up last year and really kind of thrived there as the Frisco closer. So those two guys definitely have a shot. And Abby Ortiz is probably too young. Aaron Zavala probably needs to show a little more than he did last season. I'll give you another one who I think has a shot, depending on what happens with injuries and whatnot, is Davis Wenzel, who
ended up with a pretty decent season.
He had a good season last year. He had 30 homers. He wants to be more of a complete hitter, but he also can play everywhere, and right now with Josh Young, looks like he's going to be ready for opening day. Okay, Corey Seager, maybe not. I know they have Ezekiel Duran and Josh Smith, but Davis Wenzel may be a twisted ankle away from some serious time in the major leagues. And he was in the same draft as Josh Young in 2019. He was selected 41st overall after the Rangers took Young 8th. I think he's got a real chance this year to make his debut.
Any rooms with Cody Bradford and his wife there at spring training.
That's right.
So they're rub off. Let me ask you this. So when you're looking at the setup of this bullpen where we sit now, they've got some good back end guys there. There's a chance for some of these young starters we've talked of possibly breaking camp kind of as that long guy, piggyback guy, 6'7". Is that where you see maybe breaking camp someone like Cole Winn or Jack Leiter or maybe Zach Kent? Is there a chance one of those guys could make this team coming out of spring training?
Yeah, I think there's a chance. Bruce Bochy said they're looking at everybody, and when they say everybody, they mean those guys. And I don't know if it's just lip service. I think that with the Rangers and their lack of depth in the rotation, they probably want to preserve some of that. But they also know that they have guys who have never pitched in the majors who are, a sore elbow away from having to pitch in the majors, and it's not it's not necessarily old school thinking, though it happened a lot more back in the day. But you take your hot shot starting pitcher prospect and let him get a feel for the majors as a long reliever, and the Rangers, they have to have guys who can pitch multiple innings.
Yep.
Just said it when we were talking about Church and Kelly, and it may be a piggyback thing. If Cody Bradford's the fifth starter, let's say, and they want to limit him to 5 innings, I don't know. I'm just making stuff up. Well, they need somebody
Sure.
who can go a couple innings and get it to the guys late in the game. So it's definitely a possibility. There are ways to do it where they're going to be able to stay stretched out. And you look at Dane Dunning last year. It worked to perfection. It was a little different because there were some pure piggyback situations with DeGrom not being able to go deep into games to start. But there are those opportunities, and they may exist again, or the Rangers may create them so that they can get these guys the innings and keep them stretched out.
Okay, well, and I mean, look, is Teodo now? Teodo is young. I mean, he has a chance to get up to. Is that a guy that could, one of those guys you see that kind of jumps up and makes a couple of leaps and maybe has a chance to get it? I mean, this is a guy that throws 100, 101 miles an hour. You've seen him. I know they're high on him. I think there's more of a, can he keep it under control? That's kind of the questions being asked.
He was the star. He was a star of the fall league. He didn't allow a run or an earned run, but he has to be able to throw strikes. You can, if he throws 102, great, but I think guys would rather see it come in at 97 and in the strike zone. It's more about a timing thing with hitters. They're going to catch up to 102. If you're just throwing 102.
Sure.
They're going to figure it out, But if you can command,
especially if you don't have another pitch,
if you can command your slider, he could go multiple innings, but he could just go one. And I don't know if it's a fair comparison or not, but you kind of look at Alex Spees last year, could not throw strikes, and now he's with the White Sox.
Yep.
It just didn't work out. Now Teodo's never pitched above high A, so it'd be a real big leap, but it's happened before. The Rangers have done that before. Robbie Ross, Mason Tobin were guys back in 11 and 12. Who
there was someone that jumped up, a left-hander that did that probably about 6-7 years ago.
Well, Robbie Ross was one of them for sure. There might be somebody else that I'm not thinking of, but
I'm not thinking of his name too. He was
there's a track record. There's a track record of it happening under Mike Maddox, but I also know that Mike Maddox wants to see guys throw strikes. And the other day when Teodo threw his first live BP, Mike Maddox was watching, and there weren't a ton of strikes. So it's got to be better. And it's early in camp. That's not it can get better as these guys get dialed in. But he's a guy for sure who could be an option, I think, later in the season. I don't think he has a chance early on.
No. I didn't either. I'm talking about, I knew he hadn't pitched above high A, but somebody that and I can't believe I can't think of the left-hander, whoever he was. He went from high A up to the big leagues all in one season, and then he fizzled after that. He was a left-handed kid, and he was African-American, and I can't remember his name. And then he fizzled after that, and he didn't come back. You know what? I'm going to have to go do my history. My brain's farting right now. Okay, so when do minor leaguers start playing minor league games?
It'll probably be. I think it's the week of spring break. They always come, and camp is the first week of March. Then they get in about a week or so, and then they start the games. And at that point, it's important to have those available to the big league team, so that guys can get work and finish their buildup. Opening day keeps getting earlier and earlier. March 28th this year. I think it was March 26th last year. So the sooner the better for as far as the major leaguers are concerned. But minor leaguers have to get built up too. So it's it gets really busy back there.
Hey, have you seen Abby take any batting practice? Ortiz? I have not seen Ortiz in person. I can't wait to get there. What's it look like?
I haven't watched him.
He's there. I've seen he's there.
He's here. Yeah, he's been in later in groups when it's coincided with the clubhouse reopening. So we've had to go up to the clubhouse and leave the backfields. But he's here. He's playing. He plays first base. Seems like a nice kid.
Good English.
He is a target. He is a target for us. I think when not to be on the podcast because I think the language is still an issue for him. It's still an issue for us because we can't speak Spanish. But I think that at some point you're going to see something at Rangers today on Abby Ortiz.
All right. Anything else before we get out of here?
No, but let's games start tomorrow. I'm coming home tomorrow.
How was your first trip?
It's good.
You wrote about it today.
Yeah, it's been good. Make sure you get that spring training special, $48 for a year. You can go to Rangers Today. You can go to my Twitter account, and there's a QR code. You can scan that bad boy in. Go to the YouTube page. We're doing good stuff over there. We're picking up more subscribers. Not as many as Dude Perfect, but we're getting there. So hopefully this thing keeps growing, and you guys keep liking the podcast and all those videos, and good times.
All right. Well, that's winding this one down, guys. Again, big thanks to Premier Properties for bringing you spring training this year. Big thanks to Jonathan Gray for stopping down. Jon Gray sitting down with us. I mean, look, he didn't have to do that, but he's a friend of the show, and we love it. Talking about some minor league stuff, Jeff's heading back. Him and I are heading back here in a little over, probably about 12 days after that, I guess, or the 6th is when we head in that night. We'll be there for about 6 days. Guys, we can't do this without you. We appreciate all of it. Until next time, we will see you at the yard.